Hey, welcome to Polish with Ray. I'm Rachel, and today I'm going to be sharing with you a summer collection from China Glaze called Jurassic World Dominion. I'm going to be honest, every time I go to say that, I want to say Jurassic World Domination. Before we get started, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you like seeing me review China Glaze here on my channel. And if you're not already subscribed, you'll want to make sure you do that too. I upload new videos every week. So this release is an 8-piece collection, all inspired by Jurassic Park. Since this collection has been out for a while, it should be pretty easy to find. It's definitely available on Beyond Polish, which, by the way, thank you to Beyond Polish for sending me these. And if you do end up purchasing them there, I do have an affiliate code. If you use RAE, R-A-E at checkout, you'll get 10% off your entire order. That's for individual polishes only, and that's at their already discounted prices. If you go to a drugstore or Sally Beauty to grab these, they're around $7, but on the Beyond Polish site right now, they are only $4.65. Plus, if you use my additional 10% off code, then that's even more savings for you. All right, we're gonna take a look at these 8 shades, and then after I will give you all my thoughts. I do have a lot of them, so let's go ahead and get into the swatches. We're going to take a look at these in rainbow order and also grouped by finish. I kind of didn't realize until I laid out the polishes this way that they actually do kind of almost make a rainbow, which is really cool. So this first shade is called Lettum Roar, and I'm going to be giving you my own descriptions because I couldn't find them anywhere. This one I would describe as having a crimson colored base, and it also has shimmer throughout that shifts gold to green, and it may even be a pearly shimmer. It's super fine and really well packed in there. On application, I was extremely pleased with this polish. As you can see, it almost had one coat coverage. I did go in for a second, and that helped completely conceal that nail line. It also helped deepen the base color. I would say formula-wise, this one was one of the best of the collection. It leaned a little thicker than some of the others, but that was perfect because sometimes China Glaze polishes tend to run down the stem of the brush since it's so long. This one did not. So here's what 2 coats of Lettum Roar looks like with a glossy top coat. You can see that you don't see too much green shift from that shimmer. I would say it's visible in the bottle, but on the nail, what I see most is a golden glow, and it is very strong. Here's what it looks like in 2 coats with a glossy top coat in some sunlight. Oh my goodness, that direct lighting just brightens up that shimmer. It brightens up the base color. I loved it inside, but outdoors, I just was head over heels. To me, in the sunlight, it actually looked like a summer polish. Pictured are 2 coats of Lettum Roar with a glossy top coat. The next shade in the collection is called Orangey Fierce, and I would describe this one as having a bright primary orange base filled with gold, maybe foily shimmer. Initially, I was a little bit weary of this shade. It definitely has a jelly base. It's super squishy on application, and lots of that shimmer comes out, but it was very sheer on that first coat. I thought this one would be for sure one that I built up in 3 and still had a lot of nail line. So you can imagine how surprised I was when in 3 coats, it was almost fully opaque. This is one of those that if you have a nail length similar to mine, if you're looking up really close and super bright lighting, you might be able to see some nail line, but when it was on my nails in real life, I didn't notice it being there. So here's what 3 coats of Orangey Fierce looks like with a glossy top coat. And I just love, again, how gorgeous the shimmer is in the base. I was very pleased overall with how China Glaze did their shimmers in this collection. I thought they were really well done. A lot of mainstreams have been trying shimmers lately in tint, and these are some of my favorite for the summer this year. So here's what Orangey Fierce looks like in the sunlight. Oh my gosh, to me, this almost looks like an indie nail polish. The way that the shimmer shines in that base, it sparkles, it looks like sun. Gorgeous. Pictured are 3 coats of Orangey Fierce with a glossy top coat. The yellow in this collection is called Preserved in Amber, and I would describe it as having a golden yellow jelly base filled with gold to copper shifting flakes and gold to copper shifting shimmer. May again be a foiled shimmer because it's very, very shiny. On the nail, this one was quite sheer on that first coat, but it is a yellow and it is a jelly, so that's to be expected. I was pleasantly surprised when this one built up in 3 coats as well. I did find that the flakes in here were a little bit of a challenge to work with. Not impossible, but they did take some extra patience. Some of them are on the chunkier side and just needed some placement because they wanted to hang off the tip of your nail or get bunched up in one spot. So I just recommend going in for thin coats and working slow. Look at that color. This was actually a really flattering shade of yellow. I did not think I was gonna enjoy wearing this shade. I really loved it. So much more than I thought I would. So here's what 3 coats preserved in amber looks like with a glossy top coat. Those flakes did smooth out just fine with the glossy top coat. I didn't have any difficulty with removal. They did not create any texture on the nail when they dried down. And then here is what 3 coats with the glossy top coat looks like in the sunlight. And again, all of these look so much better outdoors. That's why when we got a sunny weekend here in Kentucky, I was like, yes, we are taking these outside so I can show off their true beauty because they glow under sunlight. Pictured are 3 coats of preserved in amber with a glossy top coat. The first green in the collection is called Raptor Round Your Finger, cute name, and it is what I would describe as being a hunter green base. It's got shimmer that shifts green to gold, and then it's got these metallic flakes that appear to be like a bright aqua shade. On application, this one was, in my opinion, one of the trickier ones in the collection to work with. I found that the formula was a little bit on the thin side. I had to remove some of the extra polish from my brush because it just kept running down the stem. And I also had a little bit of a hard time working with the flakes. They all wanted to dispense themselves, deposit themselves towards my cuticle. And once they were there, I kind of had trouble moving them around and getting them spread out on the nail. I did need three coats of polish. I can't talk today to reach full opacity for this one. And I don't know that I liked the way it looked. I would say I think this one's probably my least favorite in the collection. I give props to China Glaze for being super creative because this is a very interesting polish. But I think I would have liked it better without the flakes. Like if we could have had just the green with the shimmer and then a topper with the flakes, I think that would have been easier to work with. And then you could have used those flakes over any of the colors in this collection. But personal preference. So here's what 3 coats of Raptor Round Your Finger looks like with a glossy top coat. Those flakes did dry down with just a little bit of texture, but I used a thicker glossy top coat and they smoothed out fine. Removal was not difficult. Pictured are 3 coats of Raptor Round Your Finger with a glossy top coat. Up next is Olive to Roar. I love to roar. And I would describe it as being a grayed out olive green. So this one was quite the surprise to people who purchased it and to people who reviewed it because in the bottle, it looks like an olive green cream, but surprise, it is a textured polish. It was quite sheer on that first coat. In 3 coats, it did become fully opaque for me. It dries down to a kind of sneaker-like satin, almost matte finish, but not quite. I think everyone's going to want 3 coats for this one. So textured polishes aren't really my thing, so I'm not the one to ask if this is a wonderful work of art, but I will say I think it fits into this collection perfectly. It reminds me of like dragon scales, dinosaur scales. Can you tell I don't watch Jurassic Park? I haven't seen any of them. Okay, so here is what 3 coats of Olive to Roar looks like. There is that natural finish. It looks kind of rough and bumpy. And if you wanted to add a glossy top coat, you sure could. Here is what that looks like. It felt smooth with the glossy top coat, but it didn't look as shiny and smooth as it would if you just had an olive green cream and added a glossy top coat, if that makes sense. Pictured are 3 coats of Olive to Roar in its natural finish, and then with a glossy top coat. Three more polishes in this collection. This one's called You Should Know Betta, and it has a cobalt blue base with a green to blue shifting shimmer and silver micro glitters. The formula for this one was fantastic. I didn't have any running or pooling. The polish stayed right where I put it. It didn't run down the stem of the brush. Very smooth, even application. I was able to reach full opacity in just 2 coats, and I think depending on your application and nail length, you may also reach full opacity in 2 coats. If you go in super thin, you might need 3, but I think 2 will suit most people. So here is what 2 coats of You Should Know Betta looks like with a glossy top coat. Because of those glitters, this one does dry down a little bit textured, but for the most part, it felt very smooth with a glossy top coat. You could be extra and add a glitter smoother, but I wouldn't call it necessary for this one. The glitters also make removal a little bit difficult with this polish. And here's what it looks like in the sunlight. I was very pleasantly surprised with this one. This was another one I thought I wouldn't like. I just thought the glitter and the shimmer wouldn't work together, but they so did in my opinion. And this color was maybe the one out of this collection, other than the orange, that seemed the most summery to me. Pictured are 2 coats of You Should Know Betta with a glossy top coat. Up next is called TRex Appeal. It is what I would say is an almost white shade. It's got just a little bit of blue in it. It also has just a little bit of gray in it. So depending on your lighting and what other colors you have it next to, it might look like a pastel blue that is just a little dusty. It might look like a pastel, very light gray that has just a little bit of a blue lean to it. You all, this one had beautiful application. Go China Glaze. I figured with the base color this light, it would be a patchy mess. It was not. Look how even on the first coat. That's pretty amazing. 2 coats, full coverage, excellent opacity, very even. I will say it's a little bit thin. I did have some issues on some of my nails with the polish running down the stem of the brush, but it wasn't a major issue. I just made sure not to get as much polish on my brush. I loved this shade. 2 coats of TRex Appeal with a glossy top coat. I actually ended up wearing it for 2 or 3 days because it just gave me such a fresh, clean look on my nails. I could not get enough of it. And I think it could be worn all year round, any season. Pictured are 2 coats of TRex Appeal with a glossy top coat. And the final polish in this collection is called Sandy Scales. I would describe it as having a sandy nude base color. Maybe it has some slight yellow undertones, but overall I would say the undertones for this one are pretty neutral. This one had fantastic coverage. You can see it was very opaque on that first coat. Got a little bit too much polish on my brush there. But I would say overall, it was pretty easy to work with. It didn't run. It didn't pool. It did dry down very quickly. This is a matte shade. Surprise. It really was a surprise because it didn't say anything on the bottle. I didn't know it was going to be matte, but it is matte and it dries down on the quicker side. So you'll notice when this dries down right here, you can see some unevenness on the nail where I didn't get time to work it out before the polish started drying down. So you'll just want to work with it relatively quickly. So here's what it looks like. 2 coats, dried down to its matte finish. There's a little bit of a shine there, but it's definitely on the more subtle side. It's a beautiful finish in my opinion. I do prefer it glossy. Here's what that looks like. Yeah, really solid nude polish. Pictured are 2 coats of Sandy Scales in its matte finish. And here's what it looks like with a glossy top coat. So that was the China Glaze Jurassic World Dominion collection. Let me know all of your thoughts down in the comments. Are you loving these shades? Have you already grabbed some or are you steering clear? I definitely had mixed feelings with this release. Initially, when I saw the spoilers for them, I was really excited about the color palette because I thought it was kind of a unique take on a summer collection. The choices for shades definitely reminded me of like a desert, and I got very warm vibes from them. But then once I got them in my hands, I was a little hot and cold on some of the finishes. Unfortunately, I wasn't too crazy about the shimmery finish accompanied by those metallic flakes. I just thought they like butted heads a little bit and kind of competed with each other. I'm also not super big on matte polishes, and once I got these on my nails, a lot of them felt more like fall colors. I will say I'm super pleased with China Glaze for yet another collection where they are taking risks. Formula-wise, color-wise, everything, this collection was a huge surprise to me. It would have been easy for them to re-release some different shades of their neons that were so popular last summer, but they said no, let's do something different finishes, different colors, and I like a brand that tries different stuff. Fortunately, there were 3 major standouts for me in this release. The first one I really liked was Orangey Fierce. This is fabulous. I was a little hesitant on the first coat. I thought it was going to be a sheer 3 coats, but I was surprised I actually reached full opacity in 3. It was loaded with shimmer. It had a super squishy, juicy feel, and I actually found that it was kind of everything that I wanted Ernie Your Stripes to be. Ernie Your Stripes came out in a Sesame Street collection, the You Do You collection, a few years ago, and this one just kind of always felt a little frosty to me, and I really liked the shade of this Orangey Fierce a lot more. Another standout was You Should Know Betta, and I was not expecting to like this one. I thought the components in this would compete as well. The beautiful blue, green, purple shimmer and those glitters, I was like, oh gosh, they are not going to look good together. Okay, I was wrong. I admit that. I loved how this looked on me. It was such a richly, intensely pigmented base color, and I'll say that for this entire collection, I was pretty pleased with the formula overall for all of these. But this one in the end was just a beautiful combination. I thought this was a super unique shade from a mainstream, and I love the finished look. And to my total surprise, my hands down favorite was TRex Appeal. Well, I was not expecting to like this one at all. First of all, I kind of thought it didn't go with the collection. When I saw all the colors together, this one seemed more like a spring color and the rest felt more fall to me. This one maybe even could go for winter. But I have been absolutely loving these almost white with just a hint of color, kind of grayed out shades lately. So this one fit the bill so well. The formula was great. I had full opacity in just 2 coats, and I actually wore this one for a couple days because I just didn't want to take it off. I thought it was that beautiful. So yeah, if you're gonna grab any of these, in my opinion, it should definitely be one of these 3. They were my top picks for sure. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.